Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review Hell's Kitchen, Season 22, Episode 10. Now, last episode, as I told you guys, I was very disappointed. I knew that, Sad Sack Sandra wouldn't make it probably to the finale, but I thought that it was stupid to send her home last week. I think that that's probably the worst elimination so far in the entire season. I don't know if anyone else would agree with that. I'm sure that other people really liked other people, and but it really has felt like, for the most part, like everyone has gone home when they deserve to go home, except for last week. Last week I really felt like Gordon dropped the ball. So this week, though, this episode was an improvement, just so you guys know. I did like this episode more, I guess, because it just felt more right. But it was also kind of sad. So let's get started. The contestants had to do this gymnastics obstacle course where they go back and forth on balance beams and get balls with ingredients on them, and then they have to match them to their own names, and they're going to each cook a different dish, and then both teams, they're facing off against each other, the different people. And I thought that this challenge, right off the bat, I thought the women are definitely going to win this challenge. I mean, I'm not trying to be sexist, but I thought that this challenge was clearly tailored so that they could win really easily, because they were obviously a lot better at, going back and forth on the balance beams, and a lot more, except for Carmen. Carmen was very slow, although I don't think she ever fell, I believe. I don't think she ever fell, but I think that the women were obviously a lot better. They were a lot faster, and I felt like that's okay. I do think, though, that this challenge, they probably tailor-made this challenge, at least the first half, so that they could do better, so that they would have a bit of an advantage. I mean, still, even if you did really good in the first half, if everyone on their team made shitty dishes, then they would have lost anyway. So, I'm fine with that, though. I just wanted to point that out. I felt like with a couple of these challenges, either the rewards or the challenges themselves, they're kind of like tailor-made so that one of the teams could win. And I felt like this one was definitely in the women's favor. But something that really grossed me out was Sammy. Sammy. Sammy's first grab for an ingredient is truffle oil. Oh, that is like the number one worst ingredient according to all the food people that I've seen on TV, Alton Brown and all the people on Cutthroat Kitchen. And I was like, as soon as I saw truffle oil, I was like, how dare you, Sammy? You're not trying to sabotage the other team. You're trying to get ingredients for yourself. What are you doing? Maybe is she a glutton for punishment or something? Because that was really bad. And so I think that I lost all of the adoration that I had for her in that moment when she picked up the truffle oil. I mean, that would be similar to picking up I don't know, canned vegetables or boxed macaroni or something. That's how bad truffle oil is, I think. I've never had it though, but I've heard it's really bad. And then also Sammy was the first one to fall. If you fell, you had to fall into this tomato juice. Why did I say tomato liquid? It's fucking juice, obviously. And also, I would like to correct myself through all these past videos, and I don't know why no one's corrected me. I guess people just like or maybe they think that I'm doing it on purpose, or they just like to see it. I don't know. But I have been calling a toy La Toy. I've been saying La Toy, La Toy, La Toy, and that is not her name. Her name is A Toy. And I don't know why anyone has said anything about this. I mean, this is the first that I've heard of this. Like, that's just terrible. I've been getting her name wrong since the beginning of this season. So that's fucked up. Chef Gordon had to also tell the girls not to throw the plates. I thought that was funny. When they were at the end of the challenge, all the women, they were throwing their plates up on the thing, on the counter for him to judge, and he was like, "Don't throw the plates!" That was a little funny moment. So these were all pasta dishes, too. I did not mention that. This was a pasta challenge. And the first thing, you had Danya versus Jonathan. Now, Danya was the one, in my opinion, who should have gotten sent home last week. I do like her a lot, and I would definitely eat her food if given the opportunity. But I did feel like she was the one who deserved to go home last week. Well, she surprisingly won against Jonathan, who is like probably the strongest male in the competition, the strongest guy on the blue team. She beat him, and I thought that was kind of impressive, and I was looking forward to seeing how she would do in the service, because I was going to be like, if she does really good, I'm going to have to be like, wow, I guess it was right for Sad Sack Sandra to get sent home. And then a toy, she had a delicious pasta with veal meatball dish, and I think she went up against Demir. I can't remember. It might have been Demir. And I felt like her dish looked like the best dish of the night. It had this really thick sauce that looked really rich and delicious, and the meatballs looked really good, and the pasta looked nice and thick, and just, it all looked really, really good, but apparently it did not taste as good as it looked. And I thought that is a huge shame. And then Jason, once again, went up against Sammy. And Jason's dish, even though it did not look the worst, it clearly was the worst. It had undercooked pasta. That's just really gross. So he easily had the worst dish of the evening, unfortunately. I didn't really think any dish looked that bad. I did feel like his was the worst, though, definitely, because of that undercooked pasta. That is a gross. So the red team won, which is what I predicted. But it's good to see them win, so I don't care. I mean, I was telling Safi, too, earlier this evening, that when I look at this season as a whole, I really can't say if I like it a lot or even love it, because the whole team has just been the red team losing over and over and over again, to the point of where they only have 4 people now. Red team has 5. So the men have to make pasta by hand, and then the women are going to goat yoga as their reward. And Jason says that he hopes the women get shit on by the goat, and I thought that was funny. This was kind of like a funny episode, too. So even though it was sad, it was funny the whole way through, and I liked that a lot. And Jonathan had the punishment pass, too, and he chose to stay with his team, which I thought was nice. He probably, and that's another thing, too, the reward, goat yoga, I feel like that is a reward much more tailored for the women's team to win and like. You know what I mean? And so I really felt like that it was just destiny for the red team to win and to get to do goat yoga this episode. So I just want to say that. There's nothing bad about it, though, because it's good to see them win and them being happy and not being, like, just in shambles. Because every episode, it's like the end of the world for the red team only. And it's like everybody else in Hell's Kitchen is just like they're struggling, but they're making it. But the red team this season has just been like every episode's like 2012. Remember when everyone thought 2012 was the end? It's like that's what the red team thought every night this whole fucking season so far. Like it's always 2012 for them. And when they're doing the goat yoga too, the goats were really into Carmen for some reason. And I've never heard of goat yoga before, so I thought that was fun to watch. That's been one of the better rewards of this season, I think, because it's really unique and funny and fun and laid back. And yeah. And meanwhile, in the men's team, Jonathan's pasta is so bad. His pasta dough is so, like, rough and thick and just not good that he has to start it all over again. And I felt bad for him for that because I guess he spent a long time on it and he was just trying to figure out what went wrong. And then he just had to throw it in the trash and start anew. But honestly, seeing them make the pasta, I know that I'm probably going to regret saying this because somebody's going to come on here and be like, no, it's actually really hard. But I didn't think that this punishment looked that bad. I mean, making fresh pasta and cutting it up and stringing it up or whatever, making all the noodles, like, I didn't think it looks that bad. I mean, if you're a chef, you got to do stuff like that anyway. So, like, it's not really a punishment. It's just, like, having to do extra work. And I would also be daring enough to say that the pasta punishment has been, like, one of the least bad punishments the whole season. I mean, the other one was definitely the grill one. The men having to clean and pack up all the grills. I mean... Or wait, didn't they have to, like, assemble them or something? I can't remember. Disassemble them and then assemble them? I don't know. But the grill one and then this one were the least bad punishments the whole season. And then I was really excited to see Atoy excel again in this episode because last episode she seemed to fit in really well with the blue team. Unfortunately, her reign of whatever, her winning, her good period, I guess you could call it. That's basically the only thing to call it. Atoy's good period is over. She was really excited, though, for tonight because of the celebrity table. You have one of the guys from Good Burger, and she really loved that movie growing up. And I felt like at that moment, oh, wow, she's perfect for this team. It's just showing she was meant to be there all along, right? Like, she's going to do a great job, right? And then you got Demir. He's leading the team. And it's like, how could you go wrong? Well, wah, wah, wah. Atoy, she made a very serious mistake. And that is, in Hell's Kitchen, you do not cook the lobster, because if you cook the lobster, it is a 50-50 chance you are going to put up raw lobster, because what have I said this entire season of Hell's Kitchen? Every single time that they have lobster on the menu, that is the first thing that is raw. And what do you know? Atoy sends up lobster risotto, and the lobster is raw. And I said, I knew it. That's what I said. Don't do that. Or if you do it, you be very careful about that. And then at the same time, though, Danya, the one who was chosen over Sad Sack Sandra, she burned scallops and she had them sticking to the pan. I don't know what I couldn't figure out what was up with her tonight, because like she had some really bad mistakes, but she didn't seem to be like a complete train wreck. So I didn't really understand like why she was like making these little mistakes. You know, like it seemed like, or it seems like in the show, like you're either a train wreck or you maybe make one mistake and then you redeem yourself. But like she was kind of like in the middle. So I was wondering what was up with that. Heather Graham 2.0, she made perfect lobster risotto though. So now Chef Gordon is probably thinking that she is definitely in the top 3. I'm betting you guys. In fact, I will bet right now, it will be Heather Graham 2.0, Sammy Tarantino, and Jonathan. Now, that's not who I want to be in the top 3. That's who I know is going to be the top 3. I guarantee it. Well, actually, I don't guarantee it, because that's a stupid thing to say. And then a toy, she made the lobster raw again, a second time. And that was the point where she started crying. And Demir had to come to the rescue, and he was trying to soothe her again like he did in that other episode. He's trying to make her feel good and motivate her and help her out, but it just wasn't enough. She kept on crying, and so then Chef Gordon had to take her to the back room, not for a whooping, but just for a talk, so that he could hype her up. And boom, as soon as he gave her a little talk, she finally redeemed herself, and she sent up Good Lobster. So that is the story of the weekly lobster debacle. I'm looking forward to next week of the first thing being raw, the lobster, as usual. And then the blue team also had to deal with Chef Jason's wife's table. The sous chef, Jason, not the Jason on the blue team. And then, funnily enough, Jason, and this is confusing, isn't it? Jason hands Gordon raw beef Wellington to give to Chef Jason's wife's table. But boom, immediately he redeems himself. He doesn't have a 3-course panic attack where he cries and then Gordon has to take him to the back room. He immediately redeemed himself. So I thought that was nice, because even though he does still have that same attitude that he's had in the first episode, which they even talked about in the preview for the next episode, he is a good chef. So, surprisingly. I mean, really, really surprisingly, because I don't know what it was with that first episode. They made him look like he was going to be the devil of Hell's Kitchen. And I was really not looking forward to seeing him in his reign of terror on the kitchen. And then I would also like to add, when the red team put up one of their Wellingtons, or 2 of them, I think, Gordon was pouring sauce on them. And I might be the only one that thinks this in the whole universe, but might as well just give another hot take here. The way that Gordon pours sauce on the Wellington is really, really funny. I mean, just the way that he pours it on, it just, I don't know, like the way that he poured it, it just looked like a complete, like, lack of caring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you're at a table and you've got your sauce there and you can pour it on yourself, you take consideration into where that sauce goes, because you know that you want sauce with every bite. You want to taste the sauce. You want the sauce to be all up in your mouth, and you want the sauce to be drenching in the food, or the food drenching in the sauce. That one makes more sense. And you know that you just don't like pour it on like you're blindfolded. Well, I think that it's funny because Chef Gordon, he looks like he pours it on blindfolded, because the way that he poured on the sauce was really, really weird. Like, And I might be the only one on the planet who thinks that, but I swear, watch that close-up shot of him pouring the sauce on the Wellington again and see if you guys can see what I mean by how weird it looks, how weird and funny it looks. And then, once again, Danya gave raw fish. And at that point, I was cheering, send her home, send her home. But I don't want to be too mean about it because I still really like her as well. And at the end of the night, there were no winning teams. That was another interesting thing. There were only 2 team MVPs. What the hell is an MVP? That's stupid. Heather Graham 2.0 and Demir. They both had to nominate people themselves, which I felt like that was a good thing. I've noticed a lot this season, like when the teams are nominating people, they make some stupid decisions sometimes, so I like the fact that it was just these, like the best person of the night got to be the one to choose. And once again, they are nominating Jason, and then Jason is like,
"Why are you nominating me?"
That's what he sounds like.
"Why are you nominating me? I didn't do anything wrong. You guys are just afraid of me. You guys just want to get rid of me because I'm Jason and I'm talented."
And I was really worried too because Demir was giving these one-on-one talks with people, and he was talking to a toy because he really likes her and he's close to her, and I was really, really worried because it seemed for a minute like he might be so biased that he might not nominate her. And I if that had happened, I would have thrown a fit. I would have given this episode a fuck you. So I'm glad that didn't happen because I didn't really know if she deserved to go home. I mean, she did have a meltdown, but she did redeem herself. So, and whenever Gordon talks about people making mistakes, what does he say? He says, you can make a mistake and you can fall down, but the important thing is you have to get back up and you have to bounce back. And she did bounce back. So what else do you want her to do? I mean, I know that she's not head chef material, but she did bounce back in this episode. Objectively. You don't even have to like her to say that she bounced back. But then Carmen, surprisingly, her mental gymnastics have gone away. Well, actually, temporarily. They have temporarily gone away. And she says, "I don't feel like I'm growing anymore." And at that point, I wrote in all caps, "And they sent Sandra home before her?" Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. Because come on, she is admitting in private that she doesn't have what it takes, that she is fed up, she is tired, she is worn out, she doesn't have what it takes anymore because the mental gymnastics have just been too much for her to handle. They just increase and increase and increase. She can't keep on doing these mental backflips and these mental, I don't know what, cartwheels through these episodes because it's just too much for her to handle. And the goats, they fucked her up. She said, "I don't feel like I'm growing anymore." Then quit! Leave! Please! You can come back in the finale and have your little moment where you help one of the two possible champions, and like you can have your moment in the finale, but just leave. If you don't feel like you're growing anymore, leave. And so Atoy, Jason, Danya, and Carmen are nominated. And this is what I was talking about, where Carmen's mental gymnastics came back into play. Because Gordon asked her, honestly, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hungry are you for the Hell's Kitchen victory? and being my head chef in Las Vegas. And she's like, 1,000,000 out of 10. And as soon as she said that, I just started laughing out loud because, like, it was just, like, the total opposite of what she was like in the dorms. Like, in the dorms, she was acting like she just found out that her dog got ran over by Santa's sleigh or something. And then, like, all of a sudden, when she's in front of Chef Gordon, he's like, how hungry are you for this victory? And she's like, 1,000,000 stars out of 10. She got really excited, and she started, like, hyping herself up and saying, like, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be your head chef in Las Vegas. I'm the one. I'm Carmen. And I was like, see, this is just sad right here. Because if Gordon saw the tape of her saying that she didn't feel like she was growing anymore, you can be damn sure that Gordon would have catapulted her out of Hell's Kitchen, because, like, everyone's supposed to be growing. I mean, this is like training in part for being head chef in Las Vegas. It is training every week. It is like why aren't you learning lessons? Like, come on, there's lessons to be learned everywhere in this competition. It's tailor-made so that you can learn lessons, so that you can become a stronger chef. Even if you get sent home the first week like the Tadpole kid, Tadpole still learned a valuable lesson. Don't make biscuits and gravy that look like shit. And you'll be fine. You can still play Quidditch, just don't make shitty-ass biscuits and gravy with strawberry jelly underneath them bitches. And so Gordon sends home a toy. And I felt like that was a good thing, because if honestly, even though I did think that Danya was weak this episode, and I also think she's going to be very quickly sent home next week, I felt like if they didn't send home a toy this week, I would have felt like Gordon was a little bit biased, because he had to do that whole thing where he took her in the back and he had to hype her up again. And, you know, at a certain point, you gotta realize when, like, even though if that person's a really good chef, are they really good enough to be the winner? To be in the top whatever, the top 8 now, or the top 7, whatever. And I did not think that a toy was ready. Just like Chef Gordon. So, I was glad. I thought that was nice, but still, I am waiting for Danya and Jason to go home, probably, and Carmen, too. I mean, Carmen, mental gymnastics can only take you so far in life and in the competition. I know that you're now doing mental cartwheels over what I just said, but it's the facts. I would grade this episode a B+. I'm not going to give it an A, because I didn't really feel like there was enough reasoning in why he sent home a toy. I felt like in fact, like, every episode, it really feels like it's at the end of the hour, and, like, the elimination is, like, the quickest thing they do of each episode. And I wish that I don't know, like, I wish that he had talked to the other elimination nominees more first. You know, like, I wanted to see him, like, talk to Carmen more. Because Carmen, you could tell that she was bullshitting. And you could tell that when she said 1,000,000 stars out of 10, that's like something that a child would say. And so, like, I was really hoping that at least that Gordon would tear her a new you-know-what. But instead, he's just like, a toy, get over here. And I was like, oh, that was really fast. So yeah, please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought of the episode, and then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to continue seeing me review the rest of Hell's Kitchen Season 22. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.